Python subprocess and Mysqldump. I know parts of this question have been asked before, but I have some related questions. I'm trying to execute. I'm potentially dumping a very large, 200 GB, DB? Is that in itself a dumb thing to do? I then want to send the zip file over the network for storage, delete the local dump, and purge a couple of tables. Anyway, I was using subprocess like this, because there doesn't seem to be a way to execute the entire original call without subprocess considering to be a table name. But then I read that communicate caches the data in memory, which wouldn't work for me. Is this true? What I ended up doing for now is of course this takes a million years, and I hate it. My questions. 1. Can I use my first approach on a very large DB? 2. Could I possibly pipe the output of Mysqldump to a socket and fire it across the network and save it when it arrives, rather than sending a zipped file? Thanks.
You don't need communicate. It's only there as a convenience method if you want to read stout/there to completion. But since you are chaining the commands, they are doing that for you. Just wait for them to complete.
You are quite close to where you want. Till here it is right. This one takes P1's output and processes it. Afterwards we can, and should, immediately P1.stout.close. Now we have a P2.stout which can be read from and, without using a temporary file, send it via the network.
Yup, the data is buffered in memory. Note the data read is buffered in memory, so do not use this method if the data size is large or unlimited. Subprocess docs. Unfortunately at the moment there is no way to asynchronously use Popin, PEP 3145. Rather than doing this all in Python you can manually do. With the appropriate string replacements using string.format of course, otherwise you're putting an unnecessary amount of stress on your computer, especially trying to communicate 200 GB via a pipe. Can you elaborate on what you are trying to do? Right now it sounds like you're both dumping and zipping on the same computer. Yes, you can stream a file across the network. I don't know if you want to directly stream the output of MySQL directly though. You might want to look at your network capabilities before considering that. Bash? Caret, you can also put this in a cron tab and have it run at intervals. Smile.
Your example code using 2 subprocess.popin calls is correct, albeit slightly improveable, and this. I read that communicate caches the data in memory. Is also correct, it reads into memory all of the standard output and standard error output that the communicating command produces on a subprocess.pipe, but not a problem here, because you have this. You're calling communicate on P2, whose stout output is sent to F, an open file, and whose dir output, which is probably empty anyway, no errors occur, is not being sent to a pipe. Thus, P2.communicate would at worst have to read and buffer up a grand total of 0 bytes of stout plus 0 bytes of stare. It's actually a bit more clever, noticing that there is no pipe, so it returns the tuple, none. If you were to call P1.communicate, that would be more of an issue, although in this case you'd then be fighting with P2, the zip process, for the output from P1, which would be even worse. But you are not. P1's output flows to P2, and P2's output flows to a file. Since none of P2's output is sent to a pipe, there is no need to call P2.communicate here. You can simply call P2.wait. That makes it clearer that there's no data flowing back from P2, which I would say is a minor improvement to the code, although if you decide you want to capture P2's stare after all, you'd have to change that back. Edit to add, as in GL's answer, it's important to close P1's pipe to P2 after creating P2, otherwise P2 will wait for your Python process to send data to P2, too.
If you want to support the channel, please consider playing.